Alright, so it's a 2900 SR loss, Zarya and Diva. This was mentioned, and I don't really need to repeat the same advice over and over, but I don't know why you're reloading there. Like, there's no use all four of your right clicks and then reload. Like, there's no reason to when you're just trying to get damage right here. As far as the Genji, I don't know. You were such low charge. It's so difficult to know, but it won't hurt you to go for him because you could have, gotten some more alt charge. And then definitely no reason to use the projected barrier here. Your Ryan is not taking any damage at all, and so you're literally wasting it. And now you have a 8 second cooldown that you can't use to protect him again. And same with your shield. I don't even understand why you shielded here because you're still behind your Ryan. If you want to do that, you step in front of your Ryan to shield. Imagine if you would have had your projected barrier a second earlier when Ryan was actually taking damage, but now we used it randomly again. Here's the thing about Zarya. Your bubbles are literally your lifeblood. They are what makes you special, otherwise you're just a glorified DPS. And so you gotta start using your bubbles more effectively. Like, it's insane that you're not 100 charge here with the way this has been going. I mean, that's fine right there. Like, that's an aim thing. And the thing about it is, your aim will be where it needs to be. And no one can correct your aim, really, because you have to know, like, am I hitting the shots that I need to hit? Would better aim make me climb more? There's Annas and Grandmaster that have tragic aim, but they can make up for it in their nade usage or in their positioning. And so that's something that you have to kind of focus on yourself. Your bubbles here were all fine, but it was a frantic fight. If you had bad bubbles, that would have been. I can't imagine how you would have had bad bubbles. And then the thing about it is, you farmed your diva for your ult there, which is beautiful. Your team had already lost. Like, there was nothing really wrong for what I would expect with how you played that for the last 30 seconds. Your team had lost. You weren't going to get out. And so, really, you charged your ult. Like, why are we bubbling right there? Like, that bubble is literally useless, and there's no one who can hurt. I mean, they're in the corner. I understand that they're low, but they're in the corner. Pharah can't see them, and no one else is pushed up. Like, you can see that your Ryan is shielding and stuff. Like, that's just a crazy bubble. Your bubble was early only because it's a diva. And not even only because it's a diva, but diva can stop shooting very easily and doesn't do high damage. Like, if this diva would have given you 40 charge, that would have been ridiculous. Ideally, if you're going to bubble against a diva like this, you wait until she uses her micro missiles or similar, because then you can get tons of charge. But generally speaking, don't bubble just against a diva shooting anyway. You're communicating with your team, but your team spent that entire time just standing there. Like, I don't understand why you guys pushed up this late. And now you don't have any bubble, which could have been free charge off of this bomb or saved someone off this bomb. And, like, are you communicating, like, is your Hanzo actually ready? Because those dragons were super late, and that was probably because he had to hide to move from the bomb. Yeah, like, why did we bubble ourselves here? Like, there was actually no reason at all. Unless you see damage coming at you, don't bubble. as you start to climb, like your bubbles actually have to have a purpose. Like they need to be used to like allow a res, or they need to be used to like get the discord nade off of your Ryan and stuff like that. Which means that generally speaking, you have to get charged very early in the fight, and so you need to start thinking about the fact that like right now you guys were pushed up so aggressively, but because you threw your bubbles randomly, you have no charge. So now you have two choices. I can either use my bubbles to help people, or I can use my bubbles to get charged, but you can't do both. And it's unfortunately you're even in this case because when you guys were pushed, the entire enemy team was roughly here, all firing this way. And you used your bubble before you even let them get in position, so then you can't get charged at all. If you would have just waited another second, you had a Rhine shield right here, so you weren't in any danger. Waited another second to bubble, let the enemy team really start shooting at you. You could get 40 charge off of that, probably another 40 off of your Rhine while you guys are backing up. So now you have 80 charge. So then, when you're positioned over here, and believe it or not, these circles still work fairly well, your enemy team is zoning out all of this right now. Realistically, you can actually use your bubbles here to allow yourself to rotate, allow your teammates to rotate. You can block damage coming in this whole zone, making you probably even more useful than your Rhine shield. But instead, you're using your bubble. I think you use it right here randomly before you even start rotating because you need charge. So look at this bubble. Like, what is going on? And then we bubble the Mercy flying, and I know you haven't hit tab, so you probably don't even totally know what they're running, but there's nothing that they're running that is immediately going to be a threat to your Mercy. And then now you're probably, if you don't die here, you're at least useless for a very extended amount of time. Still reloading at 50 every time, 75. Like, why did we bubble there? We have no clue what's even going on. I don't even believe that you could tell who you were bubbling because you just kind of threw it in there because you saw a light amount of damage headed that way. Imagine if you could have bubbled your Zen here instead of letting him get farmed by the Zen. And again, like, those bubbles are fine right at the end there, but they were only fine because it was a super hectic situation. So even like when your bubbles are really succeeding, it's not necessarily because it's not really because you did something spectacular. It's because your enemy team was kind of just shooting at you guys randomly. And like that right there is a prime example of something that's great. Use the Diva Bomb to your advantage. And a lower Diva Bomb, like if that Diva Bomb had, say, landed like here, I want to see you run right in front of it and use your bubble. Because what that actually allows you to do is shield teammates who are back here. It doesn't shield the whole bomb, but it does shield just a little bit. And so I really want to see you using your bubbles like that. Like, that was beautiful. You got your charge, you blocked something important, you're pushed up. Like, this is probably the best bubble that you've used the entire game. And in voice like that, you can call that you're going to bubble your why. Okay. So you used 100% of your charge on your left click, which is cool. But at like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ammo, right click because you'll get the full damage still, and then a melee and a right click would kill this Genji right now. And I know you're like, he's deflecting, just right click the wall next to him. Like, there's so many options, and that is so minor, but those minor choices can definitely add up. You're 100 charge and you're bubbling your Ryan when he's in no danger. That's crazy. When you're 100 charge, you don't even have an excuse to be bubbling. You need to be bubbling. Um, you need to be bubbling to block cooldowns and abilities. Imagine if you could have bubbled your Ryan later there. The grab's fine because it was just Baby Diva. Like, they don't have anyone to eat it or anything. Like, they didn't have anything to eat it. They don't have... It's a fine grab because of their comp, but not the best grab overall. Because you only got 2 kills in the fight and you guys won, so your team had probably won the team fight anyway. I'm confused why you and Ryan aren't holding the front corner. Like, why do we bubble the Mercy here? Now she's gonna get bladed. Imagine if we had bubble to block the blade.
I hate
43 average energy is pretty low. Definitely not ideal for a situation like this. I don't even know what exactly happened here. But this is a prime example of a good bubble. Your Mercy was in danger, and so you were able to bubble her flying back. Imagine if you had just randomly bubbled her because she was up there, you would have had a really bad time. Now your team has been communicating this whole time, so you should be talking about the ults here. What's going to happen? How are you guys going to win this? Do you use Transcendence and Blade at the same time to like cover the Blade? Like, what do you do? No, we just C9 because no one talked, so we don't know who's supposed to be on point. And you bubbled Genji for no reason. In this case, and this kind of contradicts a lot, but like if there's random like fire strikes coming against you and stuff, like bubble to get like that 20 charge, because you're not, you know, they're not gonna like push you here. Like you're not gonna like need your personal bubble here. Like it'll be off cooldown by time you need it realistically. Instead we're using it here to get very little charge or 0 charge. Nice. So your projected bubble was good, but what was your personal bubble? So projected bubble, nice. You bubble the Genji when he actually is in danger going in, but why are you bubbling yourself right here? You can still see the Aurora. You just popped your bubble. You have an enemy here, a dead enemy, and I think about 1 or 2 here. I think that really covers most of it. And who's going to hurt you right now? Like, why are you wasting your bubble? another just wasted bubble. Your Genji was actually dropping down when you bubbled him. Again, good bubbles, but again, only because it's chaos. Like, it's hard to have bad bubbles there. Your Zarya itself, like, isn't bad. Like, you have some good tendencies and stuff like that, but your bubbles are hot garbage, and that's probably what's holding you back. Like, why? Why are we bubbling? Your team really needed to communicate this because you know they have a Zen, so they're probably going to Transcendence your Grav. So don't pop your Blade and your Grav at the same time. Use one to get out, maybe, Blade the Zen. Best case scenario, you kill the Zen and get more kills. Worst case scenario, you force out Transcendence. Just wasted bubbles, both of them. An actual good bubble. Like, you're blocking damage for your team, blocking damage for your Rhine. Your bubble on your Rhine is slightly questionable after, but I understand just trying to get charge. So, you guys had a beautiful opportunity for this next play. So, you guys specifically didn't have you switch because of your Grav, and now you just forced out, I think, 3 ults, including both support ults, and then you waste a Grav because you have to switch. I get what you and your team are doing, but you could have just ran with the Zarya one more round if Grav was your win condition. If it wasn't, then you should have switched earlier anyway. Because now what we ended up doing is we ended up wasting time for a Grav, but then after we got good Grav conditions, we switched. So your team has lost this fight. I don't know why you flew back in. You're just feeding ults. In that case, on Baby Diva, great example of the Zen mines is you could have or the Hammond mines is you could have just walked into them as Baby Diva because he doesn't get any ult charge, and so you are gonna have a lot better time. You're not feeding his ult charge, and then you guarantee you're not being staggered too. Weird defense matrix usage a couple times there. Your defense matrix is not to block chip damage. It's to block specific abilities and to heal allies. Why? Like, what are you defense matrixing here? What is going on? I get you really wanted to get the Hammond, but you don't need to fly through the dragons to get the Hammond. Like, what? Your Diva is rougher than your Zarya, and this almost feels dumb to watch because there's already been about like 100 things on your Diva, where the rest of your video is for your Zarya, and so unless there's just something stand out, there's no point in going through it. Diva could be its own VOD. Yeah. Well, definitely I hope you got some good tips in there. Gotta change your bubble usage and you'll start having a lot better time right away. It's not even like the other stuff. Like reloading too much is whatever. It was preventing you from charging your grav a little bit faster. Your grav had fine placement. A lot of people think that gravs need to be five, six people gravs, which can definitely help and is definitely good when you have like a Hanzo to follow up with it. But otherwise, like a three-man grav when it's 6v3, then like your team will win that fight. Like it doesn't matter. And so definitely could use some work on your grabs, definitely could use some work on your reloads, definitely could use some work on your positioning. But if you learn to work on your bubbles, I guarantee you that alone is your biggest issue right now, and so I would want you to focus that. So remember, use your bubbles to block specific abilities. Use your bubbles to specifically get charge way before a fight is even happening, and so then you can use your bubbles for what you feel like using them in the fight. And don't use them just randomly or before a fight starts when there's no damage coming, and you'll start having a lot better time.